how do I introduce my next speaker? He's like, don't introduce only. He's etched in our imaginations as Dr. JC and Dr. Virus from Munnabai MBBS and Three Idiots respectively. I personally cannot forget the feared Kishan Khurana from Khosla Ka Ghosla. In a career that's close to hitting the silver jubilee mark, he's made us laugh, he's made us cry, he's made us root against him with his villainy. But I'll say one thing, all throughout this 24, 25 years, he's made an indelible impression on our hearts with his craft. More recently, he has taken on 3 more new roles of a writer, director, and producer. His new film, The Mehta Boys, recently released in February on Amazon Prime Video, and it's really, really a sweet, affecting drama, which all of you should see if you haven't yet. And ladies and gentlemen, on this note, I request you to please extend a warm, warm welcome to the Boman Irani.
Hi, good evening, everyone. Thank you very much.
What a deep voice. No, that's a voice that gets everyone's attention, isn't it? You won't mess with that voice. So, Boman sir, I'll first begin with the...
Boman. No,
Boman.
sir. Drop
Okay.
the sir.
Okay, Boman. I'll begin with the theme of the evening is Swarnam Bharat, Virasat and Vikas. You've been associated with the industry now. I think the first role that you did was in 2001. Before that, as an audience, you've been a huge admirer of cinema. Can you give me in quick gist, how have you seen this industry of Indian cinema, which is over a century old, started here in many much in Mumbai? How have you seen it evolve and develop and progress in your journey?
So I started watching movies when I was in my mother's womb. And the thing was, it was my mother who pushed me to watch movies every single day. She must have seen my report card and said, "Iska to kuch hone wala nahi hai." So let's put him into the movies. My father had passed away before I was born, and I knew nothing of my father. The only thing I knew of my father through my mother was the films, the list of films that he watched in his lifetime. I have no other idea of what my father was all about. So I've been watching films literally as a little boy, because my mom and my aunt, who brought me up, used to watch a lot of movies. And initially, it used to be very, I used to get nervous in the tragedy films. But believe it or not, one of the early films that I had seen, which was a sad movie, was a film called Mother India. And it stuck with me. It was in the old Minerva, if anybody remembers the old Minerva, yeah? Have you seen the new Minerva? It'll break your heart. The new Minerva, where we saw Sholay for 5 years, we saw Diwar and innumerable films. There is tall grass over there. There's not even a building. So I saw Mother India and the old Minerva, and it moved me. The performances, the scale, and we're talking about a farmer's story. That's what India is all about, a farmer story and people who were taking advantage of the poor lady. And that in many ways was my mother's story. And I related to it because even as a kid, the mature conversations that took place in my house, I was witness to. My mother did not know how to sign a check, or write a check rather. She could sign a check, surely. And she was saddled with 3 little girls and me on the way. And we had a small shop called Golden Wafers. And Golden Wafers was a dukan that my father ran. Then he fell ill, and hospital bills and what have you. And people came demanding money from my mother. And she said, everyone said, they're cheating you. There are no receipts for the same. She said, don't worry, I'm going to pay it, no matter how long it takes. Because someday, I will pay off this debt, and I'll give my children a good time. And I don't want anyone to point a finger at me and saying, these people owe me money. I can't be sure whether they owe me money or not, but I will not have that on my conscience. And then somebody said, you know, your Mother Irani. And I kind of correlated that story with my mother story, and I just fell in love with the movies. And she used to send me to watch the movies every single day to a cinema hall called Alexander, which was bang opposite my home. Literally, where that camera is the Alexander Cinema. And this is where we lived. And every day, sometimes the movies would change after 2 or 3 days because it was a rerun movie. It would do it main run in the Regal or the Minerva or wherever else. And the reels used to come on a cycle and we used to watch movies over there. I used to go and see Pyasa every night. I used to go and see Ben-Hur, 10 Commandments. You name the movie, I've seen it at Alexander Cinema. So what's the change, you ask me? What's the change? Sometimes I feel what I like to tell youngsters, the change is that there was spectacle and there was drama and there were topics that were dealt with. I think people don't pay enough attention to the writing anymore. And this is something that really bothers me. While technology, and I was listening to Arundhati ma'am a little while earlier in the waiting room, they didn't allow me to come into the room, and I'm just joking. That, technology should never take over soul. And while we've got so many tools and implements to kind of make life easy, sometimes the soul and the advent of AI might just take over that unless they start thinking soulfully, and then we're in real trouble. So I have seen that from K. Asif to Mehboob Khan to even my dear Manmohan Desai, to Rishikesh Mukherjee, Bimal Roy, you name it. And we have some wonderful films today. But I think I always tell youngsters, go and see the classics. Go and see the classics, it's the best training you can have.
So since you brought up writing, he wears multiple hats. He doesn't get tired. I don't know what is he on, but he's also, during COVID, Boman started script writing sessions over Zoom, and you had a lot of people signing up. So this is curious. I would think you'd start acting workshops, but you are like, no, let's hone the next generation of writers. Let's teach them the basic A to Z, of writing. What prompted that detour? Yeah.
So it started when I was wanting to direct my first film. And to direct your film, I think you should understand writing. And I'd written a script which was so beautiful that I had to throw it in the dustbin the next morning. And I started all over again. And I kept throwing that script into the dustbin till I really learned how to be a writer. And I think that was important. So I read, you name the book, I read it, but that's not good enough. I went to God knows how many workshops here and abroad. Here, very few, abroad, most of them. And then I found myself a guru. He doesn't even know he's my guru up till date. I just made him my guru. And I started learning screenwriting technique from him. And then slowly he became a co-writer on my film, The Mehta Boys. And then while I used to walk home in New York after the sessions, in fact, a whole day I would spend with him, in a place called the Players Club, where all kinds of writers used to sit in, and it was so beautiful. There was a pub over there. I won't tell you what we did at the pub, but there was a pub over there that there was a booth that was assigned to O. Henry, the great short story writer. And we used to sit over there and write, and I'm saying, I'm blessed. I'm learning from this wonderful guy who 2-3 years after that went and won his first Oscar, and I thought I'd lose him once he won his Oscar. But I used to come home and make my notes. And whatever was in the notes, I would put into the script. And then I said to myself one day, all that I have gathered as far as information and knowledge is concerned cannot be good enough for one script. So what happened in the pandemic, some guys who I used to mentor used to call me, and I used to speak for an hour at length on the phone about their script and talk about technique and talk about structure and talk about motifs and talk about character. And then I would repeat it to another guy. And then I would repeat it to another guy. And one guy said, you're sounding very tired. I said, I'm repeating the same thing. And that's where technology kicked in. And he gave me this wonderful idea. I don't know if you've heard of this. It's something called Zoom. And I said, okay, what the hell is Zoom? He's saying you can talk to multiple people at the same time. I said, really? This is out of 2001, A Space Odyssey. And the next day, the three of them came and I spoke to them at the same time. I said, can we bring a friend along? I said, sure. Next day, 10 turned up. By the time we went to the 10th session, we had 150 people signing up. And now we've got about 1,500.
That's amazing. That deserves,
yeah. And we've completed, I'm not very good with numbers, but we've completed 875 sessions online. And for me, that's the best thing I've ever done. That's the best thing I've ever done because the industry we're talking about has given me everything. The very fact that I'm sitting here talking to you is thanks to the industry. But if there is anything that you can give back, you must. And I feel that there are so many people who are teaching and doing some wonderful acting sessions. There aren't very many people who do screenwriting sessions. We are a country of great stories. We are a country of great culture and a country of great literature and a country of great people. And we have stories. However, converting stories that you can narrate to somebody, situations, tell you a great situation. Do you know what happened to this guy? Oh my God, it should be made into a movie. Great, let's write it. What is missing is the great story can become a great synopsis, can become a great outline, but it is very tricky to write a great screenplay because you've got to break it down into very tight composite scenes that are extremely, what's the word? Fat-free. And that's the greatest gift that Alex Dinelaris, my guru, taught me, to make each word count because people's attention these days is so short. So today I did a session.
Yeah, he just finished the session.
Yeah.
And he's here for another session.
Sure.
Talking about his journey. Boman, when we talk about the Mehta Boys, which is on the Amazon Prime, I think you'll agree that OTT platforms and streaming have been a huge game changer for the Indian industry, entertainment industry. It's enabled different writers, different actors. They say that talent take precedence here, right? You want to tell me, and I know Mehta Boys did a festival rounds last year before finally releasing on Amazon Prime in Feb. You want to tell me what have you seen as the biggest changes that streaming has brought about?
I'll tell you what. Thank you to the streamers, right? I'm also, and this is the most unpopular and ungrateful thing that I'll ever say in my life, but I am a believer of watching movies in the theater. Let's put that aside, all right? However, sorry, Amazon, I can say this, you know. But what it has done is a script that would never make it to beat the weekend business module can get now made. People who've been, you know, tearing their shoes, walking and doing the footwork from going from studio to studio, selling a script they may have worked on for maybe 8, 9, 7, 8, whatever amount of time, can actually get made. Actors who've been, you know, out of the running, suddenly you realize, where the hell was this guy? Thanks to streaming. Directors with vision, you turn around and say, maybe he's not cut out to make this kind of blockbuster. Where is he? He comes out of the woodwork. Cinematographers, I mean, and I can go on and on. What is the point I'm trying to make over here? That films that do not have to beat the numbers game. The best thing about streaming is that they don't tell you numbers. But the numbers game over the weekend, and for a film of merit, a film of quality, to say it did just X amount of business, it is a flop, ergo, it is not a good film, which is a problem. Nobody is judging a film based on its box office returns on the streaming platform. But I think that's the greatest thing streaming has done for us. Films are getting made, good actors are coming out of the woodwork, good directors are coming, good writers will start coming out of the woodwork, and more important, they don't need to be dubbed as a flop film, ergo, therefore, it's not a good film. Back in the day, back in the day, I mean, we've lost a giant in Sham Benegal. You know, back in the day when there was no streaming, you had to go to the theater to watch an Ankur or an Ishant or a Bhumika. Do you remember those films? Yeah. I mean, fantastic films. And they would run for a limited period of time and then be shifted to the morning show, the 11:30 or the 11 o'clock matinee. Our blockbusters are taking up the 7 a.m. slot and the 3 a.m. slot. So where does a Bhumika or, you know, you get what I'm saying? So thank you very much to the streamers.
Boman, I think another thing people don't know much about is that apart from the script writing, apart from the acting, apart from the writing, the directing, the producing, you are also associated with the Film Heritage Foundation.
Yes.
Shivendra Singh Dungarpur runs this organization. They do a lot of restoration, they do screenings, they do preservation, they buy archives of famous artists, you know, which are found in dumps sometimes.
Sure.
You want to tell me what channeled you in that direction?
So, come on, Shivi Singh Dungarpur. I don't know if you have heard of Shivi Singh Dungarpur, but just for the love of cinema, just give him a big hand, please. Come on, everybody, come on. And it's in the name, the Film Restoration,
Film
Heritage Restoration. Now, what's he doing? I had seen a musical some years ago. It was a musical called We Will Rock You, all right? I don't know if you've seen that. It ran on the West End for many, many years. It was not about Freddie Mercury and Queen, but yeah, it was. This is in a dystopian future where all music is not available anymore. Nobody's ever heard of music. So every recorded piece of music, whether it's in digital form or in cassette form or CD, people may have not even heard of that, or tape recorder spool, or vinyl, it's over. Nobody's heard music. And there is this one reincarnation, like the birth of a prophet, this little kid who is like a reincarnation of Freddie Mercury. Great story. It was a terrible musical, but that's another story. The idea is great. And that thought just struck me. And he started singing songs from his previous life. We Will Rock You and all of the Freddie, We Are the Champions and Bohemian Rhapsody and I Want to Break Free. And everybody starts believing, like it's a new religion, in the music of this kid. I think they made a movie, the guy who made Slumdog Millionaire, Danny Boyle, made a similar movie called Yesterday, which had a similar theme. And I'm saying, my God, I immediately went to movies, which I've grown up. And to imagine a world without cinema, it's so scary, right? It is so scary to realize that we'll never be able to see a Pyasa again, a Sholay again, a Godfather again, and nobody knows about it. Just that concept is scary. It's scary, it's devastating. And then Shivi, of course, I've been known for years and say, oh, I'm doing this film baby, I have your back in whichever way you want. So now you realize how important what he is doing. Yeah. And he comes up with festivals. He did an Amitabh Bachchan festival or in a Dilip Kumar festival. And I went to the theater to watch, Amar Akbar Anthony. You know, that feeling where people were clapping and singing and laughing and preempting the joke. And let me tell you, because it's a little ludicrous, my respects, Manji, ludicrous, they laughed also, but still clapped. Because the intention was so bloomin' beautiful. The scene, I don't know if you remember Amar Akbar Anthony, the opening scene is the flower lady, the mother, she gets knocked down and there's a cop, Amar, Akbar, the Kawal, and Anthony, the one and only. And they all come and say, Kya hua? Khoon chahiye. Maji phool wali, khoon beh raha hai. We need to. And they have this ridiculous thing, which you will laugh, but go ahead, no problem. All three of them are doing blood transfusion at the same time. So, Amar, Akbar, Anthony, yeah, everybody's clapping. And the blood is all going up to one little point and then going down by one another wire into Mother India. Made up of Amar, Akbar, Anthony. I say, Mr. Manmohan Desai, if they hats off to you, if they laughed at you, but the point you are making, it doesn't matter. It's called suspension of disbelief. We believe that there would be a miracle such as that in the medical game. So for me, imagine, we don't get to see those movies thanks to Shivi. Shivi brought them on the screen and there was chaos. Imagine she bumps her head on a rock, Nirupa Roy, and from Sai Baba's eyes, two little flames come, Deepak Jalai, oh, मैं देख सकती हूँ. It's so beautiful. But it works. It's magic. Nobody cares. Everybody laughed, but everybody clapped and everybody cried.
Right, yeah.
One guy in the audience says, "Ma, kitne ungli?" It's so beautiful. It's so beautiful. That kind of cinema. Imagine we'll never get to see it again. Thank you, Shivi.
But I know Boman is being very, very generous talking about the classics. He himself, all of us will agree, has starred in many, many classics. Munnabai MBBS, yeah. How many of us have seen Munnabai MBBS, right? 3 Idiots, yeah. And my personal favorite, Khosla Ka Ghosla. How does it, I know you're being very generous, and for us, many of us, Professor Virus is like embedded in our minds. Like, he's like the professor that we all want, but at the same time, we don't want to confront him. But how does it feel like when you are part of some classics, right, Boman? I mean, everyone will stop you over here and say, we loved you in these films.
Well, I accept the love. It's just that I like to move on. And I just like to move on. And that's the truth of the matter. I don't watch my own films. I really don't. The only film I've ever watched recently again was your favorite, Khosla Ghosla, because I think there's something about that film that I just love. Have you seen Khosla Ghosla? Good fun, huh? Good fun. He was such a nalayak.
You never want to run into.
He was deliciously nalayak. Yeah, I love that character. But I don't think about it too much. I just feel there's a lot of love, and people come to take a photograph. Sometimes all they can say is, "Hello, how are you?" Munna bhai. I know, Babu. I was in it. Virus. Yeah, okay. It's so sweet.
But I know people will say, and it just occurs to me, is it hard to say no to Rajkumar Hirani? You've been in part of all his films, even in Donkey.
Believe me, I've tried to say no. But
Ferrari Ki Sawari, even the films that he produces.
So in Sanju, for example, I was not in the film, and then he calls me up one day and said, "You're in the film." I said, "Oh God, I'll have to go and." He said, "No. Sanju is watching Munna Bhai MBBS on TV. So you're on TV as Asthana, and you're in the film." I said, "Great, that's good." He called me 2 days later. "Nahi, galat hai, yaar. Galat hai, yaar. Karna chahiye. And I wrote a role, and then we did something in Sanju also. I've been in every film he's done.
I think he thinks you're his good luck charm. Because all his films have done well, and we can just say Boman.
He doesn't need me. He doesn't need.
No, I think all of us will agree, right? Rajkumar Hirani's film becomes much, much more greater with Boman Irani in it.
The lady is approaching the mic, so she's telling us to wind up. We got 7 minutes, 23 seconds.
No, Giovanna is now hiding. But I know these are popular films. These are films that we revisit time and again. But I want you to also touch on some of the independent films that you do.
Yes.
Like a Being Cyrus, a Let's Talk.
Sure.
Ram Madhwani's first film, who's made
Yes.
incredible Neerja, and then obviously Arya. You acted in that, Let's Talk. Is the indie spirit very much a part of Boman Irani's DNA?
In many ways, Mehta Boys is like an indie film only. It is like an indie film. Unfortunately for me, the producer on the film was my son. And if I asked for something, no, you can't have it. Why? It costs too much money. And I say, man, do I have to go through this even now at this stage in my life? But that's the fun of it. You can squeeze the rupee and make something special out of the lowest resource that you can have. I've got I've got a story of Munna Bhai MBBS for you, which actually felt like an indie film, because there were no takers for this film. There were no takers. Nobody wanted to finance it. Nobody wanted to back it. Sanju had not had a hit in years. Neither had Arshad. Gracie Singh was our biggest star.
And it was Raju's first film.
Raju's first film. And this bald guy, we don't know who the hell he is. And so nobody took their salary till the movie was released. And that too, only on the condition of the movie did make money. And we had one shot, which was balance, which was the shot at the end where there's a shadi ka mandap and stage and flowers, and it was going to cost a lot of money. And the art director said, नहीं बहुत महंगा है, नहीं मांगता मत करो, लेकिन अगर करना है तो किसी की शादी में गेट क्रैश कर लो. Vinod Chopra said, yeah, what a wonderful idea, yaar. And next thing we know, we are actually at someone's wedding uninvited. What? Yeah. But we're hiding behind the decoration. So can you imagine? Sunil Dutt Saab, Sanju, Arshad, the director, the DOP, Vinod Chopra, Binod Pradhan, Gracie, all are sitting there in the dark, waiting for the guests to go home. And then we jumped on stage and took the shots. So anyone who grumbles they don't have money should realize that one of India's most beloved films that we're still talking about 20 plus years later was made like this. So I always tell youngsters, don't worry about the lack of money. You can make a film on an iPhone now. The guy who made the best animated film used a free app. A free app.
Flow. Yeah.
Flow. So you asked about indie films. That was the original question. I've got 4 minutes and 3 seconds, ma'am. And they give me one rupiya ka grace. 101 rupiya grace deta. 1 minute milega. So Ram Madhwani, I was doing theatre about for 12, 14 years before that, right? And I said, picture bhi karenge, lekin for the right movie. And Ram Madhwani comes and says, I got a movie for you. I said, chalo, paise banane ka time aa gaya. So he says, we'll have to write the movie together. We'll rehearse what we've written. We'll record the rehearsal. Then we'll rewrite the movie. And this went for a year and a half. A year and a half. Okay. Then we shot the movie in 7 days. Right? In someone's house. There were only 4 people on the set. No caterer. I'm joking. And the movie got made, and I went and told Ram, when are we releasing the film? He's saying, did I not tell you? We were never going to release this film. I said, then why did we shoot this film? I was yanking his chain, actually. And he said, for you, for me, for our friends, for our family, and all this philosophical nonsense, right? And to ease the passing of time. I said, look, I'm not 90 years old, okay? And he said, he said something very beautiful, which of course I knew that this movie was never going to get a release as such. But he said, our names are in the credits, and that's why we worked hard on it, and that's all that matters. Your name is on the credit. And if it gets seen someday, then, you should be proud of it. And he's absolutely right. However, there was a guy who was watching the edit of Let's Talk, shot on a handy cam. Worked on for a year and a half. And he said, ye actor kaun hai? Don't preempt the joke. Ye actor kaun hai? Ye actor. Boman Irani. Parsi hai? Bola, Hindi bolta hai? Bola, bol lega. Bhejo mere paas. He gave me a check of 2 lakhs. I said, what for? मेरी अगली पिक्चर के लिए. I said, आपकी अगली पिक्चर का नाम क्या है, कहानी क्या है? मेरे पास कहानी ही नहीं है. I found a little weird, right? मेरे पास कहानी ही नहीं है. I said, then why you give me 2 lakhs? He's saying, because when I have a film and I come to you and you start working, you won't have dates to give me, Mr. Irani. I said, wow, not bad. I didn't believe him, of course. 8 months later, he called me. I said, कहानी मिल गई यारा, कहानी मिल गई, कमाल की कहानी है, कमाल. I said, पिक्चर का नाम बोलो. He said, मुन्ना भाई MBBS. Yeah. Now, the point I'm making here is it didn't matter if people saw Let's Talk or not. It doesn't matter.
No, I think the reason why I brought it up is because everybody should watch Let's Talk. It's your first feature.
Yeah.
And
I don't know how many people have even seen or even heard of this film. But thanks to that film, I got Munna by MBBS. It's as simple as that. So you put in all the effort you can into things that don't necessarily make you famous. You know, I feel that's very important.
We have 30 seconds.
30 seconds. Plus 1 minute. Thatas. Okay.
But I'd like to ask you to wind up. What was the one significant development or change you would like to see in Indian cinema now that you are part of the ecosystem, very much entrenched, not just as an actor, but even behind the cameras? As you see Indian film industry going through various changes of streaming, you know, you spoke about cinemas, so many of them are going, especially the single screens, you have multiplexes. What is one thing that you would like to see happen?
That we nurture writers, okay? Very important. We nurture writers. And make sure their name is on the credits as one of the most important contributors to the success of the film, and that they are paid well. They are not homeless kids. They aren't. They are very, very important. And I'll tell you, I understood this when I learned writing, how it can make or break a great story. It can make or break a great story. And our writers should be given pride of place. However, after time up, the 1 minute I'll use on this, is that the writers should now work hard to be worthy of that place. Because you can't say, I'm a writer and I've got a great story. You've got to write a watertight script. A watertight script that no one can refuse to produce. And the best way to judge a watertight script is when it's edited, the less that is edited from the page or other scenes that don't make it to the screen, it means your script was really watertight. Make it a script of unwasted words, lines, and scenes.
That's beautifully said. And I'm pretty sure with Boman's banner, Irani movie tone, we are going to see much, much greater work, greater scripts. I'm pretty sure that's in the works, isn't it, sir?
Thank you, Suhani.
Yeah, great. Thank you so much.
Teacher aa gayi, teacher aa gayi, teacher aa gayi. Principal aa gayi.
No, I'm not going to miss
Again,
a moment.
Warm applause for Boman Irani.
Thank you, Boman, so very much. Thank you, Suhani.